Being immersed in the latest release is quite literally all fun and games for the most part. The power that video games wield to make you feel like you are really in a world of a developer's creation is a special kind of magic, and one that all too often gets forgotten when we're playing. Only that magic soon turns into cursed witchcraft when the horror genre gets involved. That wholesome immersion we all love is taken and twisted into a terrifying, inescapable nightmare that only you can get out of. And game creators don't go easy once they've ensnared a player in their trap. Horror video games put players through the bloody ringer at the best of times, but special mention has to go to the scenarios that are scary enough to stick with you long after the credits have rolled. From encountering sentient store mannequins to performing your own eye surgery, there are plenty of horrific moments out there that you can never unsee. Pun absolutely intended. I am the terrifying Ash from WhatCulture Horror, and these are 10 horror video game moments that will scar you for life. 10. SCP-096 SCP Containment Breach. Secure, contain, protect. Those are the tenets of the SCP Foundation. So when all that goes wrong in Containment Breach, you can be sure some horrible monstrosities are roaming loose that you definitely weren't ever meant to encounter. They're not secured, they are not contained, and you are certainly not protected, tasked with making it out of the facility in one piece as they wreak havoc during a security malfunction. While facing off against the incredibly weird SCP-173 in the opening section is certainly up there, it is SCP-096, or rather the Shy Guy, that takes the crown on this one. Designed to look like every J-horror monster you have seen in your life, this pale, long-limbed, screeching freak will chase after you relentlessly if you catch even a glimpse of its face. The jump scare that comes from thinking you've passed it freely, only to be hunted down when you least expect it, is definitely enough on this one. But consider the endless, terrifying pursuit of a monster that will tear you apart should you witness any small fraction of it, even unknowingly, and this beast is made lastingly creepy. 9. Motherly Love. Dead Space 2. The whole Dead Space franchise is full of pant-crapping moments, but you'd be right to take a look at this Dead Space 2 entry in particular and cry out, what about the Noontech diagnostic machine? And to that, dear watcher, I say we are all absolutely traumatized to the point of oversaturation with that particularly nasty scene. I posit there is an earlier one that has just as much potential to stick with you. Upon Isaac passing the Sprawls Elementary School, he peers in through a window as a woman coos to a baby worming its way across the floor. This is clearly no normal child, in fact, it is a crawler. That then works its way into the mother's arms before exploding upon impact as she fawns over its presence. The window is smeared in goopy viscera, and we're left considering quite what a mother's love is worth in this hellhole of a future. 8. Cannibal Hospitality. The Walking Dead Season 1. Seemingly pretty innocuous in comparison to other entries on this list, The Walking Dead Season 1's scarring moment is amplified for poor little Clementine more than anyone else, as she's the one about to snack down on a hearty portion of long pig, which is human meat for all you culinary novices out there. It's this unassuming nature, that it's not you in obvious danger, that allows for this moment to be pervasively creepy in a unique way. The game gives players a much-needed reprieve from the doom and gloom of the post-apocalyptic world outdoors with a comfortable home full of food and friends. That is, until you learn that food and friends are one and the same thing. Discovering a member of your group tied up in a secret room with his legs hacked off, it is only a matter of time before you can reach your surrogate daughter downstairs and stop her from eating the human meat. Missing this option and letting her consume flesh is a decision that haunts you, both in the game as Lee's failings and in the real world as your own. 7. Very Scary. Condemned 2 Bloodshot. Condemned Criminal Origins gifted us with the horror show of being followed by mannequins that moved of their own accord. But its sequel, Condemned 2 Bloodshot, gives us scares of a wholly more grounded variety. Swapping supernatural for just natural, we are faced with a bear that would make Leonardo DiCaprio blush as protagonist Ethan is trapped in a cabin with this rabid beast. Hunting you throughout the level until you're finally armed enough to take it on, the roars of this thing are enough to send a chill down your spine, and keep you away from the woods for years to come as a result. Whilst perhaps not holding up for first-time players in the same way now, the grainy, dark aesthetics of Condemned still go a long way to ramping up the uncomfortable scenes of this game. And the bear is right up there as one of the most unexpectedly haunting set pieces of them all. 6. First Ghost, Fatal Frame, or Project Zero. The Fatal Frame series, or Project Zero as it's known in Europe, has long stood as one of the scariest collections of games out there, forcing you to battle supernatural phenomena by making them say cheese. In being pushed to take photos this way, there is no avoiding the horrors of the other side, with the camera obscura your only weapon against masses of terrifying ghosts. I list the original Fatal Frame here for one simple reason. It's the earliest time you can experience the ghostly apparitions of the series, and there's nothing quite like a first impression. In fact, Fatal Frame was so scary upon release that many didn't finish it, causing the developers to realign their approach for the sequel to compel players to stick around until the ending. A mechanic so innovative that it scared many gamers away from the title is surely one that has scarred a fair few people already then. 5. Arrival of the Rat King. The Last of Us Part 2. The Last of Us Part 2 has had its fair share of the discourse, but both fans and critics alike can come together to revel in the glory of the Rat King. And oh, what a king he is. Ruler of the Seattle hospital lower levels that served as the initial outbreak zone for the state, the Rat King crops up when you collect medical supplies from an abandoned ambulance, busting through the claustrophobic hallways until he has you trapped in a waterlogged, inescapable corner of the facility. The ensuing battle is up there with one of the best set pieces in the whole of The Last of Us, but that doesn't mean its horrifying appearance isn't going to stick with you long after completing the games. A collection of infected bodies that writhe and move as one, the Rat King even splits a separate entity from itself to stalk you as it attacks, screeching and shuffling in impossibly disgusting ways. And we thought bloaters were bad. 4. Mother of Bugs. Resident Evil 7. Marguerite is a real piece of work in Resident Evil 7. A woman transformed by her twisted, malevolent behaviour that stalks you through the remnants of her old house. She is scary enough as just your average woman. And then she goes on ahead and levels herself up into something much more. Mother of bugs and lover of her sweet insect babies, Marguerite comes back in full force after you are led to believe she's gone, with her arms extending to inhuman lengths as she tries to grab you through a window. It's after this sequence that you're forced into a greenhouse, with the mother now sporting a bug-infested crotch as she waddles around the darkness and leaps up the walls like an oversized spider. Ugh. Needless to say, experiencing this traumatic monstrosity in VR only compounds what is already a highly stressful experience. Stay away, mommy longlegs. 3. Pyramid Head. Silent Hill 2. Not the first encounter with Pyramid Head, but the second. This moment is one of the most what the f*** experiences you can have in the Silent Hill series, and that is really saying something. Big Bad Pyramid Head is a staple of the franchise, and whilst it's introduced fairly tamely from behind a fence earlier on, it's in the scene where we watch him assault mannequins that we get a true insight into what this triangulated terror is all about. A flash of him manhandling the womanly forms is all we get before hiding in a closet and watching him kill the creatures, dragging a body across the floor and staring into James's safe space, eventually moving on. Bloodied, unnaturally shaped, and intimidating beyond belief, this is quite the grotty entrance for quite the malicious character. 2. Hello Nightmares. PT. Lisa is well deserving of the blood-stained crown for ruling over all things horror in video games, but it is her fleshy pal in the sink that you'll still be thinking about in years to come. Of course, PT is the playable teaser for Silent Hills, the oft-mourned non-release from Hideo Kojima that should have set the horror video game world on fire, but was unceremoniously cancelled instead. All traces of Silent Hills were wiped from the earth in the aftermath of this decision, which sadly included PT getting removed from the PlayStation Store. But for those that did manage to get their hands on this spooky slice, there's no need to lament its loss, as the images burned into your memory will definitely be enough to go by. All I've really got to say here is talking fetus. It's one thing to discover a discarded unborn child in a bloodied sink, it is entirely another to hear it talk to you in smooth baritone. 1. Offed by Awful. Phantasmagoria. Whilst video game horrors that scar you for life come in every pixelated variety imaginable, there is nothing that hits quite the same as a real-life sequence. So hey, why not have both? Treat yourself with the graphic adventure point-and-click fun of Phantasmagoria. Phantasmagoria tells a tale of a live-action woman, controlled by the player, who has moved into an old mansion and starts having all sorts of paranormal interference. One such moment where this spooky presence makes itself all too known is when she looks in a swirling mirror, only to see the previous tenant, a magician, in a vision, detailing how he killed one of his wives. And as we clearly see, her death was not a quick one. The woman is strapped to a table and has entrails forcefully shoved into a funnel and down her throat until she expires, making for one of the most gnarly death scenes in a horror game you can get. Unexpected, traumatizing, and gross in equal measure. Icky. And that's our list. What other scarring video game moments belong on this list? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. I've been Ash over on social media at Ash Millman, and this has been What Culture. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and come back again soon for some more spine-tingling horror content. Thanks for watching.